day 4 of our detox. We're here in Sweden, and yesterday I talked to you about drawdown. I want to share with you what happened to us this morning. We actually both woke up feeling a little bit heavy this morning, which we weren't expecting. Had three great days. We've been out very active in Copenhagen, and fundamentally that may be a mistake that we made yesterday afternoon, because we went for our colonic irrigation, which is quite an intense process for 45 minutes. And in fact, the woman, when she left us, because we went individually, she said, have a good workout. And it is to some extent a workout of your colon, because it's cleansing, and there's a movement, a contraction, a movement, and contraction. A lot of fluids, and there's a lot of release as well that happens. And one thing we didn't do yesterday afternoon, I think I mentioned it in the video, was that we realised we need to hydrate. Normally we take with us salts as well. Because if you have lemon, for example, lemon juice is great to have sprinkled into water. It's got a great alkalizing effect as well in the blood. But also normally we carry salts with us, and this is actually Himalayan rock salt, which we mix into the water. We didn't have that with us yesterday. We had the juices, which was great, but we didn't have those things as well. And we had a long day, and I'm just sharing with you from my own experience that typically when you're doing a detox, you don't want to be too active unless you're used to it and you're doing it on a regular basis, or you know your body's made up and you're able to do it. But we're not just doing a detox, we're doing a detox and a colonic irrigation. In fact, we're doing 2. We've got another one tomorrow. Those are not necessarily combined. You can just do a pure detox. Could be a day, 2 days, 3 days. We're doing 5 days here. We're doing 5 days with a colonic on day 3 and a colonic on day 5. And the reason for that is that we want 1, 2, 3 days of cleansing, so that there's nothing really in the intestinal system. And then we go for an internal cleanse going in reverse, up, with the water being flushed through. We carry on detoxing on juice and do the same thing on day 5. Why do we do that? We give ourselves 2 or 3 day lead-in, plus it keeps the momentum going and the motivation going to stay clean and empty for when you go through for the last detox on the Friday. If you're starting off in this and this is new to you, I would suggest, from my own experience, start with maybe just a 3-day detox. If you're really new to this and your body weight and everything is not right, and you're not particularly healthy, you're a smoker, you're a drinker, eat lots of meat, lots of dairy, have done for years, and you're going to find a big reaction to this. So I'd suggest maybe walking into this a bit slower. So for us, you know, my experience has been in the past, typically it's day 3 is roughly when you start to feel a bit of a drawdown. Most people get some type of a drawdown over a detox. It's only natural, but it's more impacted when you go for a colonic, because what you're doing is you're cleansing through, as I talked about, and then the colonic is pumping water back into your system, going around your colon and back out and drawing a lot of toxins out. And yesterday both of us had a liver release. Now, if you don't know anything about a liver release, basically the liver releases into the colon a lot of waste, as you're probably aware, a lot of toxins that it filters out. If you've got some blockages that happen, and it happens over time around your colonic area, if you go for a colonic irrigation, often what will happen is if there's been any build-up there, it will release that. And then the liver goes boom and dumps into the colon. And that also allows toxins to come into your system. And sometimes you'll get a drawdown effect. That added to the detox, which is basically bringing any toxins out of the body, will bring you down. It's just a natural thing. That's why you've got to keep drinking water, because water also allows the system to cleanse, and the lymph system obviously moves to bring the toxins back out again. And it's a whole cycle. So what I wanted to get across was, last night we went to bed. It was quite a late night. We probably went to bed about 1 o'clock, 12:30. And our daughter woke us up this morning at about 6 o'clock, 6:30, and both of us were very drawn down, more than we expected actually. So we had a heaviness about us, and that really, immediately, we both said we're a bit dehydrated, we need some salts, and we were very aware of that. So I want to just share with you, you know, there's always an up and a down during this process. It's not all up and all excited, which we are excited, and we feel great. You can see me now, just had a beautiful juice. But there was this morning a little bit of a lull to the morning, and my fiance felt it more than I did. And when we reflected back, which is always good to be a silent witness to what happened, we said, okay, why are we feeling as low as we are? We both said, okay, it's likely to be to do with fluids that we didn't take yesterday. And in fact, it wasn't even the fluids, it was the salts. So I want to talk about salts for a second. So if you're making notes, write this down. We use what's called Himalayan rock salt. Now, Himalayan rock salt, if you go and have a look at it on the internet, is regarded as one of the purest rocks, or the purest salts out there. If you use conventional salt that you get in most shops, or when you go out to a restaurant, that's called chemically cleaned salt. The white salts, the typical salts that you see. Even some sea salts, you have to be aware of this. even some sea salts can be chemically clean. The chemical clearing process actually ends up with a residual product, which is basically sodium chloride, and in the body, sodium chloride actually is treated by the body to some extent as a foreign body, and it can actually create almost a reaction in the body. It has some negative effects, which I'm not going to go into now. That's why always people talk about don't have too much salt, blood pressure, etc. Whereas Himalayan rock salt is completely uncontaminated. If you see it, it's actually originally in a rock form. It's formed in the purest conditions you can imagine, and it allows for healthy pH, i.e. the pH balance in the blood gets hugely balanced into proportion with the right amount of rock salt in your diet as well. So that's another subject I could talk for hours about, which is the pH balance between acid and alkali. The other thing is you're going to get the right electrolytes. That includes things like sodium, magnesium, potassium, phosphate. These are all the key elements of electrolytes that you need in your body. And if you're just drinking pure water, although that's great and it has all its own benefits, you need those electrolytes in, and that comes in the salt. So I want to get that point across. Now that's why today I'm actually going to give you a couple of videos, because I wanted to make sure that you understood that's really important. We didn't do that, and in fact we normally do it before we go to bed. We actually drink just before we go into bed, so we've got those in our bodies. We didn't do that last night. We actually headed straight to bed. We were aware that our livers had let go a little bit, so we wanted to get some rest, and we didn't hydrate prior to bed and during the evening, and so the result of that was a drawdown in the morning. You'll know this if you've ever gone out and had too much alcohol to drink the night before, and you wake up and you're feeling kind of flat and drawn down. That's because your body's dehydrated and you've got all this alcohol destroying the cells and basically acidifying your blood. So for us, it wasn't that. It was actually the fact that we hadn't hydrated with the right salt. So I want to make that point really clear to you. The second thing I want to get across in this particular video is that whenever you get into a situation like that, in a detox, and you can do this on a natural basis as well. Those of you that aren't on a detox but maybe wanting to clear, you've been out drinking or you've not been looking after yourself, there's a few things you can do when you have a drawdown. And we look at different things. So this morning we got up, one of the first things we did is we had water with rock salt in it. But we also, and it's just in a little granular form, we also had watermelon. Now watermelon, there are people that just believe totally in watermelon detoxes. Watermelon, when it's put through, not the blender, but through the juicer, what will happen is it will create this beautiful, essentially it's the fluid from the watermelon, and it's got a sweet taste to it. It's not particularly sugary, but it's got a sweet taste to it. Very good for cleansing, and exceptionally good if you're feeling a drawdown. So the first thing we did this morning, we woke up, bang, and we had watermelon each. So we just drank down, big glass of watermelon, slowly down, chewing as we're doing it as well to stimulate the process and letting the enzymes go. Don't just gulp things down. Remember, the body is taking what normally it would eat. It's like eating carrots, crunch, 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 or greens. You would normally chew them, which creates the right enzyme for the digestive system to take place. So you still need to do that to some extent. You can add rock salt to that. In fact, I did my last little bit of my watermelon juice. I actually added some salt to it and just banged that down as well. What else have I got? So I made a note for myself to share with you. Berry blends. Given a choice, carrots, believe it or not, some people believe that carrots are really sugary, and in fact some people will blend juice, maybe 6 or 7 carrots into a juice, and then they'll drink it down. Most people couldn't eat 6 or 7 carrots. There's a lot of sugar content in carrots. If you're going to put carrots in, which we'll do, maybe 1 carrot just to give it a slight sweet flavour, but not too much, not too excessive. Interesting enough, berries, high antioxidant berries, things like blueberries, are better to have with a little bit of water blended up, because they're more antioxidant content and less on the sugar side as well. So in a pecking order, I would go with some salts, obviously. Then you're going to have some watermelon, possibly some antioxidant berries like blueberries, for example, organic form, then down to your carrots. And you would have this blended up, or ideally juiced, unless you're going to put the berries in, then you put them in a blender with some water, and make sure it's liquid. Remember, we're trying to avoid too many solids if you're going through a detox, particularly with a colonic. And then bang with the berry juice or the carrot juice, a little bit of it, or the watermelon juice or the salt, or a mixture